Hi everyone, I'm JD, welcome back to my channel. So I'm pretty sure we're up to Art Stories Part 6. I'll link below the playlist for that series in case you want to check that out or missed any of them. I'm just going through my artwork in chronological order that I drew them in. And this one we're up to, again, just sharing more of my journey with mental health, depression and anxiety. And this one is called What Depression Feels Like. And I was reading a website at the time and reading descriptions of how people explained depression, and going through the list I was like, yep, some of those resonated, including felt like I was drowning, suffocating and falling in a deep dark hole. So I'm just going to keep an eye on my kitty. He is jumping all over my room and knocking things off shelves. So hang on, let me just grab him. But there were two analogies that I came up with that best described it for me, and I drew this one to capture one of them. It felt like I was beneath a glass of pain. Actually, that kind of works. But beneath a pane of glass. But I was in my own world of pain and depression, and it felt like I was... Oh my goodness. Move out the way, little kitty. It felt like I was banging on the glass and screaming out for help, but no one could hear me or see me. They couldn't see my struggle. And so they're all out in this sunny, happy place with the stars, and here I was, with spikes and confusion and tears. And yeah, I never could understand before this whole journey why someone would want to commit suicide, but finally going through this I understood. So when your whole world is pain and you can only see all around you nothing but pain, and for your future you can see nothing but pain in your future, I could totally understand why someone would want to see suicide as an option. Because it's not about dying, it's just about ending the pain. It's about relief from the pain. And yeah, I got to a point where I wasn't ever suicidal, but I did have those thoughts of, I just don't want to be here anymore. It's not that I wanted to die, it's just that I didn't want to be here, because being here in this world meant living with pain. But I never, I guess, got to the point of suicide, I'm thinking, because I could still see, a bit of light in that darkness and that place of pain. I could still see, my analogies, I could still see the stars. Sometimes the cloud of depression blocked out those stars, and if the cloud stayed there long enough and was thick enough, eventually the stars, you wouldn't be able to see them at all, and if you were in that place for long enough, you would forget what stars were even. And so I never got to that point though. I still could see a faint glimmer of stars. But who knows, if I got to a point where I couldn't see the stars anymore, maybe suicide would have become something that I contemplated. But yeah, so that's just an insight there that I got, where I can have now more compassion for people going through depression and who may have suicidal thoughts. Again, they shouldn't be shamed for that. Hello, kitty. So it's just because they're in such pain. And one of the things that I learned was, people say things like, oh, you just need to try harder, or do things this way, or do better this way. And I'll be like, just get over it or something. But now I see that people going through depression, they are fighting for their lives. They are doing everything they can. The fact that they have lived another day, that is monumental for a person going through depression, because just to function is hard. So they are working harder than normal people. Normal. I don't really mean that as a terminology, but they are the ones who are struggling most, and therefore they're the ones fighting most. And to say that they're not trying, like, how horrible is that? It's so uncompassionate, or whatever that word is. So the other analogy that I came to for myself was, it felt like I was trapped in my own skin, and the only way to get out of my skin was to claw myself out. And that's very brutal and a violent image, but that's what it can be like when you're going through depression. Alright, that is that one. My little kitty. I'm just going to move this table a bit, see if I can do this. Okay. Yeah, I think that's working. Alright, so this one is called, hang on, gotta get my notes. Oh yes, the internal critic lies. And this is all about how we can have thoughts in our heads that tell us things that aren't true. But if we just have always lived with those thoughts, we can just accept them and believe them because we haven't thought anything else. And we all have different wrong beliefs about ourselves. So for me, my wrong beliefs were, you know, I am the worst person alive. I'm unlovable. I'm a bad person. I always do the wrong thing. I'm selfish, arrogant, and proud. And so all those thoughts would just swirl around in my head. And the idea is to, you know, address those thoughts and to replace them with the truth and more helpful thoughts. So when you really pin down one of these thoughts, go, okay, I'm having the thought that I am a bad person or I always do things wrong. Well, you explore that thought and go, hang on a second, I got this right at one time in my life, and today, well, I did this right, and last week I actually got this thing right. Yes, I have done wrong things, but you can finally go to those thoughts and go, well, it's not all true, is it? It's just my head saying that. And so, yeah, this is just all about Keanu replacing those thoughts with more truth. Because our thoughts will affect our behavior. So if you think you always do the wrong thing, you will stop, you won't try to do new things because you think you just stuff it up. If you think you're unlovable, you won't open up to people. If you think you are, you know, the worst person alive, you will suffer in a cloud of, for me, depression. And you won't want to kind of, you can't function because you can't live like that. Hello kitty, what are you doing? Yeah, you're so cute. So yeah, to change the thoughts, because then that will change your behavior. If you go, sometimes I do the wrong thing, but a lot of the time I do the right thing, that means my behavior now can go, oh, well, I can try this new thing because, well, I may fail, but I may also succeed. And, okay, I have this thought that I'm unlovable, but actually I know my family loves me, I know God loves me, and so I'm going to share this story about myself, knowing that it's not necessarily going to make someone reject me. So, here we go, kitty. Here we go. We're going to turn the page. We're going to turn the page. Yes, we are. Okay, here we go. That's that one. This one is called What I Do and Don't Say, and all about that idea about people being open or closed books. And what I've had to learn is, or what I'd like people to know, is that even though a lot of the time I may have a closed door or be a closed book and I'm silent or closed or whatever, it doesn't mean I won't open up. Like if I feel safe with someone and trust them, of course, then I can open up. And often all it takes is a knock on the door. So if you ask me a question, I will answer it. But if I don't get the question, I won't just speak up, you know. And then if you, with time and when you get to know someone and yet you learn that trust, then I will even just open the door myself. I won't wait for a question. I can just go, hey, I just got this to tell you, you know, I need to share this. So it's these different stages, and it was just a bit of giving myself grace, because I could, you know, beat myself up and be like, oh, you're such a closed book. This is so wrong. You need to do this. You need to say more or whatever. Or people are judging you because you don't open up or whatever. And this was just to say, no, it's okay to be these various parts. It's okay to know when to say something, when not to say something, and it's okay because it's just when you feel safe with someone. It's not like you don't force someone to share something if they don't feel safe to share. Like, no. So it's context based, and yeah, to know there are safe people, there are unsafe people, and it's okay to open up. You get to choose that, and you don't need to feel judged for when you say something when you don't. Okay, so this one is called Seeds of Joy. Can we show people what it looks like first? So there's seeds down here which are actually tears. These flowers here are kind of shriveled and they're dry, but they're throwing off tears or raindrops. And then there's these flowers, and in the center of them are music notes. And this was based on Psalm 126, about how mourning turns into singing and tears turn into joy and that kind of thing, and into songs of joy. So all about how God can use all those dark things in our lives and painful things and the mess and confusion. He can turn all of that around and be at work in our lives to the point where we can't help it, but the song just comes out of us and says, look what my God has done for me, look what my God has done in my life. He has brought me out of mourning, he has brought me out of pain, he has brought me through it, and now I just can't contain myself, and I just need to sing how amazing he is and what he has done. So just an encouragement to me that no matter how dark or painful a time is, God can use it in his genius to turn around and work in your life and bring songs of joy. Okay, oh, you're an adorable little one. You're getting a bit bitey though at the moment. I don't mind it when he bites, just gentle nibbles, but when he really puts his teeth into my skin, it's like, no. Alright, so this one, let's see if you just stay there. Okay, this one's called Step Into Scary. No, okay. And this came from, I was pulled up at a traffic light one time, and it was pulled up at the red light, and I looked out the window and there was this sign that said, what was it? Do one thing every day that, and before I got to the next words, in my head, just automatically the words that came to me was, do something every day that makes someone smile. And then when I read the words, it says that do something once a day that scares you. And I was like, oh gosh, that's completely different to what I was thinking. And at the time, I couldn't really handle that. In principle, I totally agree with that principle of challenging yourself and stepping into scary and growing through that and trying new things. But at the time I was very anxious and that wasn't something I wanted to hear at that time. You know, it was just too overwhelming, and that would have not been a good thing for me to, you know, step into scary. But at the same time I knew the truth of it, and I guess internalized it, and drew this and knew that, you know, working on the journey of not letting fear stop you. And I used to think it was all about getting rid of fear, but I've learned through all of this, it's not about getting rid of fear. Fear is fine, you can keep it there, you just don't let it control you. So you can still act, feel the fear and act anyway. So yeah, don't let me run, it says here, and courage, so standing on a foundation of courage. So I can have, the way I see it, I can have a whole bunch of fear in my life, but it doesn't matter as long as I still lean into it and face it. So yeah, that is that one. And this one is called, it's a bit of a mess, look at it. I wasn't happy with this one, but it's called Neon Sign, and there's two roads here. And option 1, stay, accept. This one says option 2, go, decline. And this one came from a lady who gave me an insight where sometimes we can be thinking, and I hope this is encouraging, maybe you're in this place right now, where you can be weighing up two options and they both look good. They're both good options, but you're just like unsure which way to go. And you can be paralyzed, not knowing which way to go. And you can ask God, you know, God, which way do you want me to go? And he could be silent. And in those times, it can be a time of frustration and panic and stress. But I've learnt to take that as good thing, I suppose, because when you get the silence, he's saying, you choose. Whichever way you go, I will be there with you. So this lady was saying, God asked her, if you go this way, what will you do? And she said, I'll love and serve you with all my heart. And God said to her, okay, and if you go the other way, what will you do? And she said to God, I will love and serve you with all of my heart. And God said to her, well, you choose. You choose which way you want to go, because I'll be with you wherever you go. As long as you're loving me and serving me with your heart, I'm going to be with you and in that. And so it's, you can get so frantic. God, what do you want me to do? But he's just saying, what do you want to do? And I will be with you in that, because you love me and you're serving me in whatever you're doing. And so it's so freeing, that whole, we've got free will, and the idea he doesn't create robots. He likes us to have that choice, and we can choose what we want. And so that is that one. And then, we're getting to this fun series. I did a series of 5 drawings, pretty much like one a day, all in 5 days in a row. And this was a huge journey for me. So first of all, I drew this one, and this was inspired by the book Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Very great book. Got so many insights from it. Keanu, come back here. You can't go up there, okay? That shelf is off limits. And basically he was just saying, he gave me this huge insight that liberty isn't enough. Statue of Liberty, everyone's like, oh, it's all about freedoms and having freedom. But having freedom isn't enough as a human. Oh, this is called Statues of Humanity, by the way. Because we can have freedom and abuse it. We can treat people badly, we can treat ourselves badly, we can do wrong, evil things with our freedom. So freedom by itself isn't the way to go. We also, as humans, we all have liberty, but we also have responsibility, morality, creativity, and dignity. So the way I see it is, no matter how people treat you, we always have the freedom to choose how we see them and how we see ourselves, and how we treat them and how we treat ourselves. So if someone is treating us horribly, that doesn't then give us the right to treat them horribly or to say you're worthless. No. And that doesn't give us the right, again, well, we have the right, but it doesn't mean that we should think that because that person's treating me badly, they are worthless, or turn around that we are then worthless. No. Independent of all that, everyone has worth despite our actions, and treat everyone according to that worth. I feel like that is a responsibility we all have, and as people, we also have this morality to live up to treat people well, including ourselves, because we all have dignity, and we can all act with dignity no matter what life throws at us. And also we have creativity in that even in our most moments of suffering, we can still do something useful in those times. We can create and we can express what we're going through, and therefore create something good and something that will impact others in a positive way, simply by expressing our creativity and ourselves, our hearts, our stories, who we are and what we're going through, our experiences. It all connects us as humans. So keep our humanity. As soon as we don't do these things, I feel like we are taking off a bit of our humanity, our worth as humans. Are you going to go to sleep, little Keanu? Alright, so then this picture came after that one. And basically what happened was I made... Ooh! Keanu. I made what I perceived to be a big mistake. Let me move that up a little bit. A big mistake, and a mistake that other people got affected by it, and I saw it bring turmoil. I felt like I hurt people, and I in general didn't make mistakes. I never really did things where I made mistakes. That was something that I tried hard to do and thought it was possible, that I could never make a mistake if I tried hard enough. And so this time it shook my world, because when I made this huge mistake, what I perceived to be a huge mistake, it shook my world, because I'm like, this is different, I don't know how to deal with this, and I became a complete, emotional mess. So I thought I was worthless, can't do anything right, and oh my gosh, you hurt everyone around you, and you're no good as a human, and So this was me not doing this. This was me treating myself horribly because of my mistake and situation. But I took upon the value of creativity and was like, all right, I'm feeling horrible right now, but I'm going to put it to good use, and I'm going to create something that may help people. When I share this, maybe they will be able to connect with this experience. And oh, Keanu, you go to sleep, mister. You go to sleep. So I lost my train of thought. Creativity, made a mistake, and was a swell of emotion, and yeah, it was just expressing it. So I was wondering how to be human. So this is called How to Be Human, and how to live in this place of swirling emotions where I was confused. There was a lot of anger there. There was my heart that represents my real self. There's this barbed wire that represents being trapped. There's these marks here that represent like bruising and being attacked and self-harm and self-punishment. And then there's this eye here that represents perspective. And so one of the things at the time, I was seeing a psychologist, and she helped me work through this issue. So she got me to explain what happened, what was the mistake, and she put it out all on the whiteboard, and she just helped me give me a different perspective and saw that it wasn't solely my fault, it wasn't solely my mistake. There are a lot of series of things where people could have stepped in at certain times and put a stop to it, but no one did. And so yes, I may have got the ball rolling at the start, but there could have been people who could have said no, if that makes sense. And so in a way, it wasn't just my mistake, there were other people at fault too. But what I had done was internalize the mistake and brought it all on myself and blamed myself and thought I was the worst person alive. But even though I had made a mistake, and even if it was solely my mistake, I still didn't need to respond with this whole turmoil. I could still go, hang on a second, I'm a human, I just made a mistake, it doesn't mean I'm not worthy. It's still okay, we're okay. Yes, it's a horrible situation, and we've got to deal with consequences and apologize and, do all that stuff, but I can still see myself as a worthy person who can be liked, who has dignity, and who can treat myself well and see myself well, that kind of thing. Huge lesson. So you can see how this picture here really came into play, and this is one that I think I need to put on my wall to remind myself of all this, because anytime that I may stuff up or make a mistake or feel worthless, this picture just pulls me up straight away and goes, hang on a minute, you have worth. Treat yourself with worth. Alright, now it gets a little scary. This is one of the scariest drawings I have done. And again, I could be afraid to show this to people, but I don't want to be afraid of my feelings anymore. I don't want to be afraid of my experiences anymore. I don't want to be afraid of my reality anymore. And sharing it, because there's nothing to fear. It's just a thought. It's just a feeling. We're human, we have thoughts and feelings, and if we can get rid of that taboo that, oh, we can't feel like that, well, we can't show people that, too scary. No. It robs us of our humanity again. So this one is called What's the Point? And this, again, I was wrapped up in my mistake and I was just attacking myself ruthlessly. I was just like, you're the worst person, and there's these spikes all coming out of me because I thought that I was hurting everyone around me. Okay, so I was going into catastrophe mode. I made this one little mistake, what I thought was a big mistake, and then I go into catastrophe mode. It's like, I always make mistakes and I always do the wrong thing and I always hurt people, and clearly my thoughts were not rational then. But this was the place where I was at this time. And there's this one spike that is spiking into me, and that's my self-punishment. Me tearing into myself. So yes, I thought I was hurting everyone around me, but I was really hurting myself with all of these thoughts about myself. And so here's my heart, and I just had this cross over my heart going, you're a bad person. And it felt like sorry was a tattoo in my mouth. Like I was just always sorry, always constantly sorry. I was so sorry because of all the wrong things I did and all that. And then, yeah, it's all just crossed out with black, and that's the depression and everything, and the darkness and all that. So, but there is this colour all behind the picture as a base. And as you'll see, coming 2 pictures later, that will come into play, and I'll get to that when we get to it. But basically, there's still some light, there's still some good, there's still some hope, even in the midst of this horrible time. So this one is called Replay, and it's just all about that idea of how when you get in that place, you can get so stuck replaying the mistake over and over again. You can replay the conversations that didn't go well. You can replay your own thoughts of you're the worst, you are horrible, you always make mistakes, everyone hates you. And so that's what I thought. I thought everyone hated me because I'd made this mistake, and what I perceived to have hurt people, I thought they now all hated me. They didn't. That was me hating myself and projecting it onto other people. But I would replay those thoughts over and over in my head. They hate me, I'm no good, I can't do anything, I just gotta check out because I can't do anything. Like, why do I even bother doing anything? Oh, that's why it's called What's the Point? What's the point of me even being here? What's the point of me being me? What's the point of me doing anything? Because if I just do it, it will hurt someone. That's what I was thinking. And so all those thoughts were going round and round in my head, unhelpful, for like a day or two. And so I just drew what I was going through, and, you know, I just want to push the stop button and turn it off. Turn off these thoughts. Not helpful, these thoughts. I didn't know how at this stage, but I learnt that later on, as you'll see when we get to later pictures. Alright, and then this is the last picture in the series, and we finally journeyed through that whole episode, and now here are just the colours. There's no black or darkness here at all. And it was there all along. It was there in those earlier pictures, even in How to Be Human, in the Statues of Humanity. It was all there all along. It never goes away, the hope. In the darkest time, there is still hope in it. And finally, you know, I walked through that. My psychologist helped me get a better perspective of what was going on. Going back to the Statues of Humanity, I was able to realise I still had worth and treat myself with worth. And I came out the other side, and this picture just represents hope. So that was that whole big journey. My goodness, I've never really done a series like that with those 5 pictures, but it's just how it happened. I was in a place where for 5 days or so I was going through this thing, and the best way I could express it was through drawing, and it was good to track how things changed and progressed with my drawing. So yeah, that's that one. I think that it's 28 minutes now, coming up to, so I think I'll stop the video there. Good place to end with the end of this series, and then I'll come back and I'll share the next lot of drawings. Alright, thanks guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video.